Hi folks, Rodney back again with Rodney's Northwest Riding Reviews. Today I want to do a quick video. It's basically to answer a question. So many people have been asking me, do you like the new 2024 Tacoma versus the 2022 Tundra that I had? Which one do you like best? And so I thought I might kind of explain some of the differences, and maybe that will help answer the question better. So for instance, I did have a 2022 Tundra. Now this one happens to be a 2024, but for the basic majority of the vehicle, it's all the same. Now, cosmetically, there's a few things that have changed on them as far as like trim, and I'll go over that here in a moment. But you know, what do I like about the 2022 Tundra that I had, and what do I like about the new 24 Tacoma? Obviously, it's like comparing apples to oranges, because obviously the Tacoma is much smaller. It has a 4-cylinder turbo versus the V6 twin turbo that you get on the Tundra. Fuel economy would probably be one of the things to begin with. So fuel economy on my Tundra that I was getting, and I'll just show you here on the window sticker what they're rated at. So they're rated at 17 and a 22 with a combined of 19. Now this is factory tires, but you know, that was the rating that I had on my Tundra when I got it. But I did put BF Goodrich KO2 tires on it. And so these are a 32.5-inch tire. I went up to a 34-inch tire. And so I lost a couple miles per gallon in fuel economy when I did that. I did it for a couple different reasons. Number one, I like the look of it. But number two, I'm off in the woods all the time because I ride dirt bikes. And of course, you can see on my Tacoma, I've added the BF Goodrich KO3 tires on that one. The KO3 was a new tire that came out, and it was supposed to be better in wet weather and then also snow, but probably not quite as good as what it would be in the mud. Now, granted, the KO2 tire was not a great off-road, you know, specifically in the mud tire. So, but I wanted something that was more puncture resistant, and that was a reason for going to the KO2s on the Tundra. But then the other thing I did, and I've done it on my Tacoma as well, is you see how low it sits in the front versus what you have in the back. And so they do that, they call it the rake of the vehicle, but they do that for towing purposes. So when you hook up a trailer in the back end squats, what happens is the front end kind of lifts up a little bit, and then they say at that point, it typically kind of levels the vehicle out and gives you, you know, optimal performance and handling. Well, what I did is I put rough country spacers, what I'm trying to say. And they put a 1.75-inch spacer on the front end and just kind of leveled the truck out. And like I said, I was able to run the 34-inch tires on the Tundra without having to do any other modifications. So I did that on the Tundra. Now on my 24 Tacoma, I put rough country 1.5-inch spacers on the front just to kind of level it out. So it, number one, gives it a better looking stance, but I'm able to run these 285/70 R17s without having to do any other modifications as far as trimming, you know, like fender well or anything like that. So that's what I've done to my Tacoma. Now, other than fuel economy, the biggest difference that you're going to have is, number one, performance. So performance with the twin turbo V6, you're going to have a towing capacity, you know, it's going to be over 10,000 pounds. You're at 6,400 pounds on the Tacoma. So, you know, if somebody was looking to tow on a daily basis and they were towing more weight, I would definitely recommend the Tundra. Now, granted, your fuel economy is going to drop once you start towing, so don't expect to get those kind of numbers that you saw on the window sticker, you know, once you start hooking up to a trailer. On the Tacoma, I will say that the way it's designed, and this applies to the Tundra too, but with the turbos, that torque comes in at a lot lower RPM. So you're at 1,800 RPMs on the Tacoma, where it came in at, I think it was 2,400 RPMs on the Tundra. And don't hold me to that, because it's been a couple of years. No, it hadn't been a couple of years. It's been, oh gosh, for about 8 months since I've had the Tacoma now. So it's been a little while, but you do have better towing capacity. You do have a lot more low end torque. You know, you're going to have 479 foot-pounds of torque on the Tundra, and that's going to tow a substantial amount of weight in comparison to what the Tacoma will do. The other thing that I had to consider was the size inside the vehicle. Now, granted, I don't have small family or anything, so you know, there's not people riding back here from time to time, but just so you can see, I want to jump in here. Now, I still have enough knee room here, but obviously it does feel a lot more cramped. I've got the sunroof in here. In my Tundra, I had the panoramic moonroof, and it let in a lot more light. And so the biggest difference that you would see is that even with the darker color interior, with the amount of light that came in, it made it seem larger inside than what it actually was. And so I really liked having that panel moonroof, but unfortunately they didn't offer it in the Tacoma. Also, in this one, I have what they call the Tier D off-road upgrade package. So I have cloth seats in this one, where I had the leather seats in my Tundra or Softex. The only way you can get the leather in this is to get a premium package, a limited, the Trail Hunter, and then also the Tier D Pro have that leather. But anyway, they didn't have the premium packages available when these trucks first came out. So that's why you end up going with the Tier D off-road upgrade package. The stereo is something else that's different. So they both have the JBL audio system, and they both have a subwoofer behind the rear seat, and I'll show you here in a moment. The Tacoma, you get a Bluetooth speaker, and you'll see that right up in the top, and it's actually a removable speaker. It is part of the stereo system on everyday use, but you know, if you go picnic or go camping or something, you can take that Bluetooth speaker, and I've taken it out a few times when I play golf, and it was kind of nice to have it to be able to take that music with you wherever you wanted. So there's your Bluetooth speaker, or I'm sorry, your subwoofer back here for the Tacoma, and then like I said, you have the same thing on the Tundra when it has the JBL audio system. You have a little bit of storage space there, have storage space underneath. You also have the same thing on the Tundra. Now I'm going to open up the back. And I'm going to jump in the back here for a moment just to show you how much more space you have. So when it comes to having a family, having, you know, additional space, or having the need for additional space, the Tundra is much better. The Tundra is going to ride smoother, it's quieter. You know, like I said, if you're using it for a small family, or you know, you take people with you frequently, or even for storage space, you still have the storage underneath the seats just like you have in the Tacoma. And you also have storage behind the rear seat, but you got your storage down there. And the crazy thing is that you don't really realize how much stuff you put in there until you go to clean it out and realize how much stuff you had in there. So anyway, that's a big benefit. The other thing too is that with the Tundra, because you have so much space in here, you do have air conditioning vents on the back of the console there, and then of course heat comes out from underneath. But it is definitely nice if you have people with you with the additional space, and you know, that moonroof will allow more heat in there. And keep in mind that you can actually close the shade you know, whenever you want to, if you wanted to try to reduce the amount of heat, and that definitely helps. But anyway, it's nice having the additional space if you take people with you frequently. As I mentioned before, the Tundra has a smoother ride. And so if I was looking at a vehicle that I'm out on the highway all the time, and you know, whether you're towing a trailer, you know, or you're, you know, traveling all the time, you know, for work, you know, obviously the Tundra is a smoother ride. The mirrors are a little larger on the Tundra than what you get on the Tacoma. Not a huge difference, but when you first get in the truck and start driving it, you do notice the difference. Fender flares, you know, you've got the matte finish on the fender flares on this one. Now, depending on the model you get, some of them had painted to match. This being a Tier D off-road, it's going to have the matte finish on there. But I like the look of those versus what you have on the Tundra. It just makes it, give it kind of a more bold look. You notice in the bed, you see the same contours in the bed that you see in the Tacoma. Now, one is indented where the other one kind of extrudes. So a little difference in that. The bed itself, so you have two beds. You have a 5.5 foot bed on the Tundra, or you can get it in a 6.5 foot bed. In the Tacoma, it's either a 5 foot or a 6 foot bed. One thing I did notice right away is that, you know, having the wider truck, it seems like you have a lot more space in the bed, even though this one only has a half foot more depth than what my 5-foot bed does on the Tacoma. But it definitely seems like you lose a lot of cargo space in the bed when you go to the smaller Tacoma size. They're both going to have the spring-loaded or spring-assist tailgate. Now, on certain models on the Tacoma, you can get a fully electric rear liftgate. The one thing I would mention is that you have an aluminum liftgate on the Tacoma, and I believe this is still going to be steel on the Tundra. But the big difference is, you know, when you lift and lower it on the Tacoma, you can definitely feel how much lighter it is to begin with. And so even though this is spring-loaded, you can definitely still do it, but you can feel the difference in weight. LED bed lights, you know, are a nice feature to have. You got your 110 outlet in the bed there, and you have a power inverter inside, and so I have that same feature on my Tacoma as well. This one does not have a spray-on bed liner. They both come with a composite bed liner, and so the one thing I would say is that, you know, a lot of people are like, well, why do you need a spray-on bed liner if you have a composite bed to begin with? Well, this is still pretty slick, and so when you put stuff in there, it has a tendency to kind of slide around a little bit. Having the spray-on bed liner really reduces the amount of, you know, the ability to slide that you have in here. But in my 2022 Tundra that I had, they weren't, I guess they were offering the spray-on bed liner, but they weren't doing them near as much as what they do in the Tacomas now. And so I put a bed mat in, and so my intended uses for it, I put tools, because I ride dirt bikes, I put my tools and stands and stuff in the back, and having that bed mat in the Tundra really cut down the amount of, you know, how much it wanted to slide around. They're both going to have the 4-pin and 7-pin wiring harness. The hitch on this one is different than what you have on that one, and I'm going to go show you here in just a moment. But you got your LED backup lights, you got your parking sensors. When you get one with a step, I'm doing this wrong. The step's on the left-hand side on the Tundra, but it's on the right-hand side on the Tacoma. Now you'll notice, started to say the exhaust was on the opposite side, but that's not true. They're both on the same side on this one. So why they put the step on the left side and not the right side, I have no idea. With the Tundra, any of the limited and above is going to have the release here, so you can hit the button and it releases the tailgate. But like I said, on the Tacoma, when you get that feature on the upgraded models, when you hit the button, it will lower down, and then when you get ready to lift it back up, you can either hit the button again and it will do the electronic activation to go back up, or you can nudge it with your knee, like lift up, and it will also start it to go back up. So we mentioned you got the 4-pin and 7-pin wiring harness. The one thing that is different on the Tacoma versus the Tundra, so on the Tundra, you have to have either your key fob or you have to have the doors unlocked so that you can get into the back. This one, you have a lever that you lift here. So the difference is these do have an electronic lock on them, but let's say, for instance, I'm going to give you an example, and maybe this will help explain it. So I went out riding one day, and I had my Tundra, and I decided I was going to take my key fob off, and so I was going to take the keys off of the key fob. So I pulled the keys out, I put my key fob in the back, and then I had a tonneau cover on there, and I closed it up thinking that everything's going to be secure, and I'd just take my keys with me. And so when I came back, I could just unlock the door on the Tundra, and then I could hit the door locks and then get into the back to get my tools and everything else I needed. Well, what happened was I put the key fob in the back. Well, it's far enough away from the door that it wouldn't allow me to unlock the door automatically, so I had to use the key. So when I used the key to unlock the driver's door on the Tundra, it set off the alarm. I'm like, okay, well, I'll just reach inside and hit the unlock button and going ahead and unlock all the doors on the vehicle, and then I should be able to get into the back. Well, because I didn't have the key fob with me, it wouldn't automatically unlock the doors or unlock the tailgate. So I had to actually physically break in to my tonneau cover to be able to get to my key fob that was inside the bed. So keep that in mind. It's a little bit different in this. You know, once you unlock the doors, it will unlock the tailgate, but that's not necessarily the case with the Tundra. So that part is different. Now, this one happens to be a TRD Sport. Let's see, it is. Let's double check. That's basically just a limited crew max with the Nightshade Edition. So the Nightshade Edition is going to give you the black trim. So you got the black mirror caps, you got the black trim around the doors, you have what these would be considered TRD Sport wheels, and then you'll notice that the grille is blacked out as well. On this, being a TRD off-road, so you have the fog lights, which are going to be standard on all of them, but you got the parking sensors, you've got, and this is part of the upgrade package, but standard TRD off-road is going to have a skid plate that you can see there, which when you get the TRD off-road on the Tundra, it also has a skid plate. And I'm going to show you real quick. It's kind of a composite skid plate. So how much protection it actually gives you, I really can't say, but obviously that's where it's at. But anyway, that's some of the differences. Now this one does have the panorama view monitor, so you got camera in the front, you got one underneath both side view mirrors, two on the back of the cab, one shines down into the bed, one shines straight out the back, and then you also have a backup camera on the tailgate itself. Wasn't available in the Tacoma when I got it, and so I don't have that feature on this one. So anyway, kind of in a nutshell, what do I like about the Tacoma? Well, the Tacoma is smaller, it's easier to get in and out of parking spaces. Around town, it gets a little better fuel economy. Out on the highway, I think the fuel economy is about the same on both of them. What I like about the Tundra, if you have a small family, or you take people with you from time to time, it's really nice having the additional space in the back of the truck. It rides smoother, it's quieter, you got more towing capacity. But as a daily driver, I really like the Tacoma. So those are some benefits and things that I like about each of them. If somebody was taking it off-road all the time, obviously with the smaller footprint of the Tacoma, it's going to be easier getting in and out of fire roads and turning the truck around and things of that nature. But they're both very similar in the things that they have. They're going to have almost identical safety features. In fact, the stereo head unit's the same on both of them. Like I said, the JBL audio system is more of an upgrade on the Tundra, and it definitely has a better sound than what you get with the Tacoma, even though this is a JBL audio system as well. So anyway, hope you guys enjoy the video. Hopefully that answers some questions, what I like about each of the trucks. If I had to choose one, it would boil down to what is my daily driving situation. And for what I need right now, the Tacoma works great. Like I said, if I had a small family and I was, traveling all the time, I think I would definitely pick the Tundra because it's just a smoother ride. So hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you have any comments, any questions, go on ahead and put them in the comment section there. Take the time to like and subscribe. If you enjoy the content or have questions, feel free to reach out to me. If you guys would like to see a specific type of video based on something I haven't already covered, put it in the comments there, and I'll try to make a video based around that and maybe help answer some more questions. Thanks again. Have a great day.